All right, everyone. It is Friday, and you know what that means. It is time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. And we're going to be talking about high impact email marketing strategies for manufacturers today. I am your co-host, Damon Postolka, like the little blue thing down there says. That pretty gentleman right over there is Kurt Anderson. We're going to have some fun today with our guest, Kyler Nixon. Kurt, take it away, my friend. Let's get rolling.
Let's do it. Dude, are you recovering? Are you doing okay today? Do you need a hug?
I am better.
You're doing okay.
I'm able to process the fact that we didn't go to the World Series now. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, you're at peace. You finally accept you had a really good season.
No, I didn't say anything about being at peace. I can process.
So the difference between acceptance and peace is that or denial, right? Just in denial. So, all right, guys, let's dive in. Happy Friday. Welcome to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. This is such an honor and privilege.
Yeah.
And we have a young guy on here who's just on fire. We got a little birthday weekend going. Kyler Nixon, how are you, dude?
Hey, guys. How's it going, man? I'm like loving the energy. Like I knew that was going to be the case, but I didn't think we were going to come out. So I'm glad I'm here for it. 100%.
Oh, man, we're coming out swinging, man.
So, yeah.
Now, hey, there happens to be a little birthday, Mr. Graham Nixon, by the way. Yeah. So who's Graham Nixon? What's going on here with the birthday?
That's my son, my kiddo. So I became a dad a year ago, just under a year ago, I guess. You know, he's born on October 27th. So
nice.
First birthday coming up this Monday, which is crazy. So it's just been a blast. It's a huge reason why I transitioned into the role that I'm in now, and we can get into that if you want, Kurt, of course. But yeah, it's been fun, and he of course doesn't know. I mean, it's just another day for him, but for mom and dad, it's been a lot of fun. Just reflecting on the last year.
Well, you know what? Before we went live, I said, you know what? The first couple of birthdays are not about your kid. It's all about you anyway. So, hey, you do what you want, because trust me, the rest of them are going to be all about him.
Right.
So you enjoy these first two because they'll be all about 100%, you.
So, I appreciate
congratulations to you and your wife. What a wonderful, spectacular weekend.
Thank you.
Now, as we talk about Graham turning one, I'm going to turn the clock back a little bit. Not quite when you were one, but let's start here, Kyler.
Sure.
When you were a little guy growing up, and I believe are you Nebraskan? Do I have that correct?
Yeah. I grew up in Omaha, in the Omaha area. I'm technically on the Iowa side, but it gets kind of confusing because nobody knows any places in Iowa, so I just say Omaha.
Hey,
so technically an Iowan, but I claim Omaha.
My college roommate's on the other side of the state, from Dubuque, so I know a little bit of Iowa. So
yeah.
All right, man. So Midwest guy, when you were growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who did you admire? Who just showered you with unconditional love?
Yeah.
Who was your hero?
Gosh, Kurt, you got to send these questions in advance so I can get my emotions out before I come on here. It was my grandpa for sure. And I can look back now and say my dad, especially in this season of life, like this, as I've become a dad, like I've appreciated him even more. But growing up, it was like anytime I could go spend with my grandpa, it was like, that was awesome. You know, we're fishing. He worked for a power company in Iowa. And so he's climbing, power poles out front. And he's just like, he's doing stuff in the dirt, and just was like, as a little kid, it was like, this is about as good as it gets. Right. And I couldn't do anything wrong. I never got in trouble. So it was like even better. If I could go to grandma and grandpa's house and hang out with grandpa for a little bit, like that was a dream for sure. So yeah, my grandpa was definitely the guy I looked up to as a kid for sure.
Awesome. Great answer. What's grandpa's name, please?
His name was Carl. He passed away when I was in high school. Carl Nixon. And just kind of a little bit of a bigger than life kind of character. And then especially as I've gotten older and I've experienced milestones, like he wasn't at my wedding. That was hard. He wasn't here to see my son born. He wasn't here to see me graduate from college. Like all those things kind of enhance his image in my mind, because he just becomes bigger and bigger as time goes on. But Carl Nixon, great grandpa. He was an awesome grandpa for sure.
Awesome. Well, great answer. Big shout out to Carl Nixon. And the thing is, his legacy is still with you. And he was with you at graduation. Yeah. He was with you at the wedding. So looking down on you, just beaming with pride. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So let's dive in. So you're Midwest guy, but you decided to go to college in Phoenix. I'm going to dive in there, and then we want to pave the path, because guys, stick around. This is going to be a masterclass on email marketing. Damon, I've been looking forward to this for months. Kyler and I connected.
I'm looking forward to that guest coming on who's going to give the masterclass on email marketing as well.
I love it. Yeah, we'll let you know how it goes.
When he comes on, do you want me to jump off? Or
we'll let
Yeah.
How's that
We'll
work?
introduce him and
That's
bring him on in a
hysterical.
moment.
So, all right, you can see how modest he is. But kind of all right. So get out of high school, go away to college. It's kind of like let's get started on like how you paved the career. Talk about Grand Canyon. Let's go there.
Yeah. I went to when I went to college in Iowa, I was going to play basketball. That was my plan to play in college. Blew out my knee twice once heading into my senior year, the other time in the middle of my senior year, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so started to just sort of look like where's somewhere warm and where's somewhere not here. Like that was kind of my two criteria. And found GCU. I had a classmate that was going to Grand Canyon, and they actually, I think they still do it, but at the time they would fly you down. Like they would actually pay for your ticket to come on campus and tour, even as a regular student, which is kind of incredible when you think about it. Fell in love with it, just absolutely loved the school. Private Christian school, checked a lot of boxes for me. And called my mom in Phoenix, and I said, "Mom, I think I'm going to school here." And she cried, and she was like, "I didn't know that this was how this was going. I thought you were just going to get a nice weekend trip out of this, And so, I decided to go to Grand Canyon University, and didn't totally know what I wanted to do. I kind of have always had a knack for business and really appreciated the kind of entrepreneurial journey a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily call myself entrepreneurial, but I definitely have some of those traits that I would say are entrepreneurial. And so my degree at the time was business and sports management with an emphasis in design. So I think the realm that I was most attracted to was sports information. So I really liked the sports information direction route where, you're interviewing players and you're putting together stats and there's math and there's it's creative and all these other kinds of things. And so that was my thought, was maybe I'll go work for a university and can still be in the sports world, can, merge the business, design, creative kind of thing together. And I remember my freshman year, I had an economics professor, and I was going into her class and I was like, hey, like, can you help me with this test? And I want to make sure I'm prepared. And she was like, you're fine. Like, you're prepared. Like, this is not a hard test. And then she just kind of pivoted the conversation and said, what are you doing here? Like, what's your plan? Like, and again, I've been in school 3 weeks. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, well, this is what I think I want to do. And she said, don't do that. Like, focus on business, lean into the creative if you want to, but get out of school as quickly as you can. I can tell that you don't need to be here. Like, just go move on and do something else. And so I dropped one of my degree programs and focused on business management. I had enough credits coming in that I was going to be able to graduate in about 2.5 years. And I did that. So I just leaned in, and instead of taking a 4-year, I just kind of condensed everything into about 2.5, and had a great experience doing it. So leaned into business and really tried to kind of learn and understand everything about business management that I could. And Grand Canyon subsequently was one of the best places that I could have done that, around some incredible businesses based out of Phoenix and Scottsdale. It's the Jerry Colangelo College of Business. And if you know Jerry Colangelo, he's the president of USA Basketball, responsible for the, bringing the Diamondbacks to Phoenix, and I think a part owner of the Suns for a bit. Right. And so I just had a masterclass in like business and enterprise business and small business and servant leadership and all these other things that like you want when you go to college. Yeah. Like I had that experience. And so, I'll stop there, but that was kind of how I ended up getting into business management as a potential career path.
Awesome. Damon, you juiced or what, man?
Yeah. I mean, that was great advice, that the professor gave you at the time, because, at those times, there are really pivotal moments, right? Because if you wouldn't have, you would have been going to school, a couple years longer. A lot of other things happen, and that all makes a difference down the road. But cool story.
Yeah, this is a great. I told you this to me. All right, guys. Yeah. So you're just joining us. We're here with Kyler Nixon. Do yourself a favor. Connect with Kyler on LinkedIn. He's doing amazing work. We're going to dive into that in a minute. Kyler, so you did some really cool things coming out of college. Just kind of give us the overview, and then we're going to dive into our masterclass. And unfortunately, the other person that was going to give the masterclass, they called in sick, so you're going to have to do it.
Okay, they emailed me the notes though, so I'll just
go through. So you got it covered. All right.
Yeah. So I, when I was down there, I actually got a job at a church. So I was working in communications for a mega church, one of the top kind of 25 largest churches in the country, which functions like a business very much. Yeah. And they had 190 people on staff. And I mean, it was not a small operation, right? And so I worked in communications. So I was doing websites and, social media and email marketing and kind of event graphics and all that other kind of stuff. And you don't make any money, working at a church. And so I picked up some side projects for other businesses, other churches, and I'll kind of skip ahead. But that led to me opening my first agency, leaving the church world, and focusing on basically what I would just call marketing and marketing design. So we did a bunch of websites and we did a lot of creative work, but we also blended that with marketing. Did that for 6 or 7 years, started getting a little bit bored, was kind of feeling the itch to do something different. Met a guy at church during Turn and Greet Your Neighbor. And he said, hey, I own a B2B e-commerce company. And I said, I run a marketing agency. And he said, okay, great. Nice to meet you. And then we turned back around. And about 3 weeks later, he called me and he said, hey, I got your number from our pastor. Can you do some consulting for us? And I'm like, I don't know the first thing about B2B marketing, and I don't know the first thing about B2B e-commerce. I've been on the consumer side and I've been in the education space, and even more niche than that, I've been in the mom parenting and baby brand space. Yeah. Like, I don't know anything about like suppliers, and like industrial supplies. Like Damon, you mentioned O-rings, like before we got on, like, I didn't even know what that was, And so I told him that, and he said, yeah, that's all right. We want your perspective. And so they brought me on as a consultant, and he said, hey, can I hire you? And I said, no, like, absolutely not. Like, I work 20 feet from my bedroom. I have unlimited earning potential. Like, I have a team that works for me. I have like employees that are counting on me. And he said, all right, well, let me know if that changes. And sure enough, I had to let an employee go for poor behavior. I had someone else decided that they wanted to work in person. This is kind of coming out of COVID. And so I said, you know what, let's do this. Let's take the leap of faith here and try something new. And so joined that team as a B2B distributor, as a chief revenue officer. So I was over marketing, sales, product, and service. And I joke, I think I told you this, Kurt, but like when I walked in on my first day, they're like, hey, we need to make this change to the ERP. And I was like, what's that word you're saying? They're like, ERP. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what do we say ERP? So it wasn't just, you kind of, if you join a new company, you're really like learning a lot. You kind of feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. I got taken to the middle of the ocean and dropped in the middle of the ocean. And it was like, okay, let us know when you can swim back. And about 6 months later, I finally made it back to shore, where I was like finally understanding what things were and how to understand the whole ecosystem. And I interviewed hundreds of clients to try to understand their view. So ultimately got where I needed to go, but that was a crazy transition that I absolutely didn't expect to have to go through.
What a great analogy. I got dropped in the ocean, just took a few months to get back.
So. Come back. Yeah.
So, all right. So great experience. And what that company really kind of helped propel you back to entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, like getting a new experience in the world, working for a company that was different than my own, not being the boss. I mean, that was a new experience, like where I'm now reporting to our CEO and owner. Pros and cons to that, right? Of course. Yeah. I didn't shoulder all the stress and the weight of the business. I got a paycheck every month, which was a new experience for me. I had healthcare. Wow, that's awesome. Health insurance. That's great. But then it was also like, oh man, I wish we could do this. And it was just, I'm not in charge, And so ultimately that became a little bit of a challenge at times. But yeah, it got me just so much experience around leadership and management and business strategy and just all the things that kind of come with real world working in a business as an executive. Like I'm so incredibly grateful for that experience at Gemplers, because it really gave me a skill set that I didn't have. And it also sharpened some of the skills that I did have. And so when my son was born in October of this last year, again, he's coming up on a year old, I was like, you know what? I think it might be time for me to transition out of this role. Been here for a few years, feel like it's in a good spot. I've accomplished some things professionally that I'm really proud of, feel like I'm leaving the business in a good spot. And personally, I just couldn't see like being away from home for 10 to 12 hours a day. And when my son is like growing up. So ultimately left that role in December of last year. So coming up on a year of leaving that role, which is also another crazy anniversary to think about, and decided to go back on my own.
Well, absolutely love it. So we've company that you founded, Forward Studios. Mm-hmm. So just enlighten everybody, who and what is Forward Studios? How are you making the world a better place?
Yeah, great question. So when I went on my own, I was planning on doing consulting. So I want to give that backstory. I was like, I'm not gonna have an employee. I don't want to hire anyone. I want to be by myself. I want to be left alone, and I want to just do consulting. Well, what ends up happening is you start to connect with people. And I was talking to CEOs and I was talking to marketing leaders and folks in distribution and in B2B e-commerce. And they were all kind of saying the same thing unprompted, which was nobody's doing email marketing. Like nobody's doing email marketing. We're not doing email marketing, or if we are, we're not doing it very well. And I was like, surely this isn't a trend in B2B. I mean, email marketing's been around for 20 years. Like D2C does it incredibly well. There's so many agencies on the D2C side. But it kept coming up. I mean, Kurt, it was like 50 times, 60 times, 70 times.
Wow.
It was constant. And so around that same time, I had a buddy reach out and he said, "Hey, what's going on in B2B e-commerce? Is anyone doing anything with email?" And I was like, "Funny that you ask. Like, no, nobody's doing anything with email." And so ultimately, to answer your question, we started Forward Studios because we saw a huge gap. Like, we feel like email is an incredibly powerful channel for distributors, for manufacturers. It's wildly underutilized. And if done correctly, in some of the ways that we'll get into in a little bit, it's an incredibly profitable and incredibly incremental revenue driving channel for these brands. And we're seeing that with our clients. And I know a lot of folks who are doing email well are seeing that as well. So ultimately for us, it was opportunity on the business side to say, we can charge for this. It's a service that we're really good at. But then also, we believe we can drive real value. Like, this isn't just like smoke and mirrors and like, it's kind of, well, hopefully this works and try to throw things to the wall. It's like, we know what we're doing, we can help, and it's wildly underutilized. So let's lean in and try to make it happen.
Absolutely. So
awesome.
we've got a friend here.
Here we go. We got Diane.
Happy Friday to everybody. So happy Friday to you, Diane,
Diane,
our dear friend. So guys, drop us a note. Let us know you're out there. If you have any questions regarding email, this is a place to do it. Kyler, if you don't mind, I'm going to grab your website for everybody.
Yeah.
Mind if I share that real quick?
Yep. It's goforwardstudios.com. We couldn't get the just straight up Forward Studios domain. It's locked down. Someone in like the UK had it. They didn't respond to my email. So if anyone knows who owns that domain,
Send an email to that person, don't we?
We
need to find, or maybe a postcard. So
all
right, let's dive in here. So again, guys, connect with Kyler on LinkedIn. Stop at goforwardstudios.com. And so when somebody lands here, Kyler, let's just talk a little bit about your process, how you guys work. Let's go there.
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, we are specifically working with distributors and what I would call direct sales manufacturers. And there's a couple reasons for that. And you guys can ask me whatever questions about that you want. But ultimately, email marketing for manufacturers that sell through like manufacturers reps or through distribution, and they don't have any direct sales channel themselves, is a very different process on the email side, right? It's much more relational. It's way more informative. It's just simply, how do you kind of stay front of mind and how do we keep you up to date with what's going on? The reason we focus on distribution and direct sales manufacturing is because we can actually drive the needle. We can send an email and it gets revenue, right?
Yeah.
And so first of all, like, I just want to say that up front. Second is, when we get on a discovery call with a client, we want to understand what they're doing today. And so most of the folks that we talk to are sitting on a large list. They have 50,000, 100,000, 300,000 past customers that maybe they checked the box or left it checked at the point of checkout that, yeah, you can send me marketing messages. And I say, well, are you sending marketing messages? And they say, no. Or, yeah, we send one newsletter a month. Right. And so that is kind of where we feel like we can really thrive, is folks who feel like they're really under leveraging email as a channel. And so when we jump in with clients, we start with retention. We believe that's just the best option. It's the best low hanging fruit for these folks. And so we lean into our retention frameworks. Again, I can get into this a little bit more in the weeds, but kind of the magic of what we do is in segmentation and in content. So we do segmenting very differently. I actually just did a webinar on this yesterday. We don't segment by demographic. We don't segment by status, and we don't segment by engagement. What we segment by is intent. So we segment customers based on if they're inside their buying window or if they're outside of their buying window. And most distributors will make the mistake of thinking, if I send this email, I can convince someone to buy. It doesn't work in B2B, right? Like, you don't buy unless you have a product that you need, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't want to try to convince someone to buy. We also don't want to try to treat verticals the same way, right? Because you could have the same job title in the same vertical, and one person's ready to buy today and the other person isn't ready to buy, right? So instead, we focus on customers who are inside their buying window and customers who are outside of their buying window. We do that dynamically using email marketing software and all that fun stuff. It's not that complicated. But ultimately, inside the buying window, customers get sales messages. They're ready to buy. They're at the point of checkout. We can tell based on their behavior. They're visiting the site a lot. They're requesting quotes. They're abandoning their cart. They're visiting specific pages on the site. We send them products and we send them promos. I'm putting my foot on the gas and I'm trying to get that person to buy. The other group is customers outside of their buying window. And all I'm doing there is nurturing. I'm adding value, and I'm looking for indicators that they're getting ready to buy. Right. And so that's kind of as simple as as I can make it is we start with retention, we do our segmenting, and then the second piece that we really lean into that I think is different than what most people expect is our content is incredibly simple. Most people overcomplicate email. The average email that we send is under 50 words total, and we don't do designs. Like we don't design emails because we just find that plain boring email works really, really well. So that's kind of the secret sauce of the 1-2 punch for working on retention with distributors.
Wow, keeping it super simple.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna be out of business when somebody realizes how simple this is. I mean, my partner's gonna watch this and be like, "What are you doing?" But yeah, I mean, it's not that complicated. But unfortunately, most folks have taken a page out of the D2C playbook and they think we just need to do that and adopt it for our customers. And it's a completely different approach. It's a completely different buyer for a completely different purpose. And so that's where we just say, hey, well, how do we reach business buyers? And these are the 2 ways that we believe we can do that. Yeah. I love how you're doing that with like you said, someone inside the buying window, it's time to give them options to buy and put as you said, put the foot on the pedal and put on the gas, and then just nurture the other ones, because like if you were going to do it by demographic, you have no idea whether they're ready to buy or not and what you really need to send them.
100%. Well, and I'll give an example. So at Gemplers, we sold to golf courses. And so any golf course in the country, you name it, we sold to them, right? In some capacity or the other. If you have someone who is in Florida, they're probably buying in November, December, January. They're getting their course ready. They're always in season. Someone here in Wisconsin is probably not buying for their golf course until February, March, April. Both of them are in the same vertical, golf courses. They have the same job title, golf course superintendent, and they're probably buying the same product, right? If I treat those folks the same and I segment by demographic, I'm missing one person and I'm probably also missing the other because I'm trying to guess when timing occurs. And that model that I just mentioned of inside and outside the buying window just ignores that. Like it's just, we don't worry about the demographic as much. You could subset that if you want to, but ultimately we found that you don't need to focus on vertical. You need to focus on timing.
Yeah.
Gosh,
that's so cool.
Oh, I'm like, you know what? It's too bad that guy called in sick and that you had to cover,
Yeah, can you imagine?
Oh my goodness gracious.
You'd probably break the internet if that guy was on here.
Yeah, probably would.
Well, no, this is absolutely phenomenal. So let's take it another step further. How about, let's go here. I don't know if I might throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
Say the manufacturer or B2B distributor out there that, you know what, you kind of described it in the beginning, but like, it's just been sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I don't like email. I don't like when people hit my email box, emails, old school, like when you get any pushback, are there any myths that you want to dispel, or is it like, what do you say to that person that's kind of like, emails, from years ago? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, every study shows that that's false. So I can just go look at any marketing study, any McKinsey study out there, and it still shows that email is far and away the most effective channel. Second is, I would say I actually agree if email is done through blasting products in people's face, highly designed, looks like consumer, trying to get them to buy, annoying, invasive, fill in the blank with any other term that folks will associate with traditional kind of D2C style email marketing. I agree. That's not what we do, right? Like I mentioned, we're sending timely emails that are helpful, and we're also not blasting people with products, and we're also not heavily designing those emails. And so I guess, again, that's sort of how I would answer it is, one, the studies and research show that that's not true, right? Like email is still a very effective channel. And the person who would have said that to me, I would have said, did you check your email today? And they would have said, yeah. Right. So it's like, I mean, what are we talking about? But again, too, like, I agree. If functionally we're going to just spam people and just try to only care about what we care about, then yeah, I agree. That's not that effective of a channel.
Right. Okay. So how about, let's go here. Damon, did you have something?
No, I'm just listening because I love this. I love that because the difference you brought up is I've been in both B2C and B2B before, right? Mm-hmm. And, on B2C, it's a distinct kind of email you get. And there's some brands that I just keep getting them because you want to see what they do. And the B2B, I love your plain approach, because we don't, we're not a consumer sitting at home trying to find something, that we love, that's our hobby or something like that. In B2B, we're trying to find solutions.
Yes.
Or products that solve a specific problem that we're in the middle of trying to fix.
Yeah. Kurt, click that first case study right there at the top. So, I mean, this again is like, people kind of laugh when I say this, or it's anytime I'm talking, especially to an executive that's been in the game for a minute, they're like, well, will you guys design our emails? And my answer is we can do that for you. No problem. However, you don't need to design them. They can be effective by being simple. This is an industrial supplier between 10 and $25 million in revenue. And we sent a 22-word email that generated almost $11,000. It's like $500 a word. My math is great. I wasn't great at math, but I'm just saying, like, this is not abnormal. Like, I'll share this case study and people will push back and say, well, that's abnormal. And I'll say, okay, let me show you another 29-word email that generated $8,000 or, whatever. Like, ultimately the average word count in our emails is less than 50. Like, it's less than 50 words, because we don't need to add all this fluff to the business buyer. They know what they want. They know what they need. They know the products that they have to buy. My job is not to convince them. My job is not to highlight all the features and all the bells and whistles, especially not an email. Maybe the product listing page can do some of that heavy lifting, but an email, my job is to stay front of mind, build a relationship, be helpful, and reinforce the differentiators of my brand. That's pretty much it.
All right, Kyler, I'm going to take a deeper dive here. We're coming to the top of the hour. So if you're just joining us, we're here with Kyler Nixon. Man, we're just like
stand-in guest for the email marketing.
Diane said, this is a great quote for you, Kyler. It was, did you check your email? And she said, I live in my email. And I think most B2B people do. They're in it multiple times in a day.
100%.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the good compared to the not so good, right? We'll be polite. So, all right, this is phenomenal. Can you give us an overview, like what curious minds would like to know? I just got an email that said, like, hey, can you ask Kyler what was in the 22 words? Give us like a snapshot of like the 50 words or less. What is because a lot of people are thinking like, oh my goodness, like I get an email from my chamber of commerce or like from different organizations or trade, man, it's like I'm like, man, I just don't have the next 30 minutes to read this. What's a snapshot that you're putting in a 22-word email?
Yeah. Great question. So my partner who does all of our execution and is our copywriter would answer this better than I would. So I should have been more prepared having that pulled up, but we really focus on a few buckets. So one is product categories. Mm-hmm. So within that email, what that might sound like is we'll use our O-ring example. Let's say that's a hot item or it's a top product category that you want to keep front of mind. It literally might say, hey, Damon, we have O-rings in stock. Orders placed before 4 p.m. will ship today. Click here to get them, sign the CEO. Like that's literally all it is. So again, we're highlighting a product. We're highlighting a differentiator. Like we have a client right now that from pick to ship is 6 minutes. When you place your order, that's on a truck in 6 minutes. Well, they're not selling anything that's that sexy or that crazy. But if I can tell that buyer, hey, you place this order right now, and in 6 minutes, you're going to get shipping confirmation. Like that's a pretty great pitch for me, right? Or hey, free shipping, all orders ship free, or orders over $100 ship free, or whatever that threshold is for your business. So product category emails do really well for us and for our customers. Kind of would lump those into like recommendations. And the thing that's funny there is we'll see some emails. Let's say we send an email about O-rings, and let's say they also sell bearings. Like let's say they sell those, those are two of their products they sell. We sent the email about O-rings, and bearings did really well today. It's like, well, why didn't they buy the O-rings that I sent? Because again, it's not about getting them to buy something that they weren't planning on buying. It's about staying front of mind. Because what happens? They click that email, or they're like, oh yeah, I do need some product today. And then they go back out to the website and buy. We see big lifts in SEO. We see lifts in direct traffic simply because of that. So product recommendations do well. Value does really well. So education, authority. We have a client right now that has over 500 blogs on their site that they have been writing since over the last like 13 or 14 years. They sell fire protection supplies. So you can imagine how confusing fire code is, and it changes, and what happens in this building isn't applicable in this building. So they wrote 500 blogs that essentially just decode the fire protection system and fire code in the United States. Well, those are great. That's great fodder for email, right? Because if someone's outside their buying window, I can send them, hey, here's a blog about how to make sure your valves pass inspection, or here's a great way to understand if your alarms are out of date or whatever. I'm not an expert on fire protection, but those are all value. They're all nurture. They're all education. They're all authority, right? I'm not pushing product. I'm just helping that person be better at their job. So again, product recommendations, value. Promos is another one that can do well. We like to use that very sparingly. We have a client right now. They're going to run the first promo they've run since we've been working with them during the month of November. And it's actually a gift with purchase. It's not a discount. So you can kind of get creative with your promos. Differentiators are another category. Like I said, ships in 6 minutes, free shipping. You get certification documents. You get individual packing slips or whatever the differentiator is for you and your brand. And then the last one is influence or testimonials. Those ones don't perform well from a revenue standpoint, but they help kind of everything else. I sort of think of them as the buoy to all of our other types of email content.
Rising tides. I love it. And like no design promos, no bloated copy. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I want to take a peek at, and how about this one here? You think-
Yeah, it's a good one. So like I mentioned, I don't know, 20 minutes ago now, a lot of times when distributors call us and I say, hey, do you have a list? They say, yeah, of course. We've been selling for 30 years. We've been selling for 40 years. So this customer right here had a list of 60,000 customers. They had never emailed them. They were all sitting in MailChimp. They had never engaged that list. And they were all recent. They're all within the last 2 to 3 years, like buyers within the last 2 to 3 years. So I'm looking at a list of 60,000 customers. They are customers. They purchased from them. They've spent money with them. And I'm like, y'all aren't emailing them? Like we can do that, right? The problem there is most folks would take that list, load it up into Klaviyo or HubSpot or whatever tool they use and start sending. That's going to tank your deliverability. Like we can get into the technical side of that if you want to, but ultimately we want to land in the inbox. We don't want to land in spam. And if we can help it, we don't want to land in the promotions folder, right? Either. And so what we did is we had to be very careful with that list. Otherwise we would have tanked their deliverability. So over the course of about 45 days, keep me honest here, Kurt, if you see something on here that the timing is different, but I think it was about 45 days. We took all 60,000 of those customers. We cleaned up the list. So we got all the folks out that were bouncing and we loaded up into our warming system and a campaign that we had. And it didn't just warm the list. It actually drove real serious incremental revenue for that brand over the course of 45 to 60 days.
So, you know what, Kyle, let's go there for a minute. We don't have we don't have to do a super deep dive, but if folks are like, dude, like, why didn't you just blast the whole 60,000? Just give them like a quick 101 or an overview on when you say like you warmed up the list or you did, and kudos to you, because what I'm hearing is best practices.
Yeah.
Just give people a quick overview of what they don't want to do and why you did it the correct way.
Just mute me if I start getting too confusing, but I'll try to keep this as simple as I can. But in simple terms, you want your email to land in the inbox. Everyone sort of functionally understands that. If you send an email, it might be the best email in the world, but if it hits spam, that person's never going to see it. It's going to get deleted and you just wasted your time. So we want emails to land in the inbox. So the question is, how do we do that? What prevents Gmail, Outlook, any of these other types of mail inbox providers from putting us in the spam folder? How do we avoid that? And so if you send an email to all 50, 60, 100,000 people on your list at one time, Gmail, the servers are saying, why is this domain sending us so many emails at once? I don't even know who these folks are. I don't recognize them in my system. This has got to be spam. Like that's about as simple as I can translate it. There's obviously a bunch of technical stuff happening on the back end that I'm not that smart about. So ultimately what we want to do is we want to do the opposite. We want to say, hey, let me send a little at a time. And we want Gmail to know, hey, we're not spam. We're legit. And there's some technical things you can do on your domain, your DKIM and your, other things to add to your domain to build trust and let Google know that you're legit. But you want to send in small batches and you want to try to drive engagement. So one of the things we did in this email, the first email that we sent, it had no links in it. It had no buttons in it. The only thing that we did is we actually asked the customer to reply to the email. We said, hey, we'd love it. We'd love to hear from you. Can you just reply hi? Can you just let us know your business name and just make sure that you're getting this email? That actually generated over 500 replies. Well, what does that reply do, you guys? Is it tells the inbox, oh, if the recipient is replying to it, this must be a trustworthy email. So I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to allow others to receive the same email. So again, that's about as simple as I can make it, but you warm up your list by sending a little bit at a time, trying to teach the inbox and show the inbox that you're trustworthy. And there's a few ways that you can do that.
That was perfect, Damien.
Great.
I know you this is like music to your ears. Anything that you want to add or anything you want to chime in on?
I mean, that's it. A lot of people will do, as you said, we got 60,000 emails. Let's start blasting them a MailChimp or something like that, because it'll let you do it. Mm-hmm. And not even knowing that the deliverability and you can get your domain blacklisted if you're not doing it right. And so many things to do with this. And it changes every single year, every single update to how they're doing it and helping to prevent spam.
Yeah.
You have to be better and better at letting the services know that we are not spam.
Yeah. Well, and going back to what we've been talking about on the content side, that's another reason why I love not designing emails, because there's no graphics, there's no images, there's not a bunch of HTML sitting in that inbox. All it is text and maybe a link, maybe a couple links, depending on the email that we're sending. Because deliverability is for us, it was a one-time project for this specific client. However, we've been working with them for 5 or 6 months now. We continue to monitor deliverability. We continue to make sure that we're not oversending, that we're being smart about our content. So deliverability is an ongoing thing, and it's everyone's responsibility who is sending emails out. And again, I love that we don't design emails because it actually helps deliverability a lot. I could probably update this. Yeah, it says it on here. We went from 0 to 52, which is out of 100 deliverability score within 1 month. And by the end of the second month, it was at 74. Well, we weren't doing anything profound. All we were doing was just sending simple emails to small batches and encouraging them to engage, open, and reply.
Very cool.
Absolutely love it. And so again, thank you guys for joining us out there today. If you're here, you're out there, drop us a note. Let us know you're here. If you have any questions whatsoever, we do have, it's a substitute teacher today, right, Kyler? But if you have any questions regarding email, we have the masterclass himself, Kyler Nixon here, and we're just diving deep here. Great overview. And so, Kyler, correct me if I'm wrong, for our friends out there that might only have like 500 emails, 1,000, 1,500, and they're just starting out, it all works the same. However, kind of the takeaways, you're giving like good practices, what to do, what not to do. Is there anything else that you want to share of what not to do for our friends out there that are thinking about kicking off their email strategy? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. Let me move actually over to the acquisition side for just a second. So we've largely been talking about retention and kind of your day in, day out management of your email marketing program, right? So if you missed it, we talked about segmentation. We talked about putting customers inside or outside of the buying window, right? That's largely a retention activity. On the acquisition side, I see a couple of mistakes here, but one mistake that I see a lot, like I audited over 100 distributor websites and over 90 people made the same mistake. They bury a little join our newsletter in their footer. I don't have that much of a problem with it. However, I joined the newsletter. I gave you my email address and I didn't hear from 90 of them.
Oh,
90. Yeah. I didn't hear a word, right? That means they're just not even following up at all, right? So I would say in general, missing a welcome sequence, missing a pop-up, missing an opt-in, that's a huge mistake that I see on the acquisition side. Because one of the negatives of retention in email, somebody told me this early on in my career, but you can't retain your way to growth. So I think that's important to understand that at some point, especially in B2B, you can't launch new enough products. You can't reach, grow LTV enough that you're going to continue to grow, right? Especially not in any meaningful way. So you need acquisition and you need to be able to capture leads that are visiting your site. Especially if you're spending money on ads or on catalog or on SEO. Yeah. And so again, the first kind of big mistake that I see on the acquisition side is not even capturing those leads. The second mistake that I see is enticing leads. So maybe they do it correctly, meaning they have a way for folks to join the email list, but they build their list on the back of promos and discounts. So what ends up happening when you do that is you train is that a hallelujah? I grew up Pentecostal, Damon, so you got to give me an amen.
It is.
We're giving you an amen, Kyler. Amen, brother.
I'm telling you, this is like that the thing that drives me absolutely bat crazy when I see people just throw out the discounts, man.
Yeah.
Throw them out. We're going to give you 20% off. We're going to give you 40% off, because that is a losing strategy all the way.
Yeah. Have
Because
you
people wait until the best deals come out then.
have you ever shopped at Hobby Lobby?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I'll ignore however people feel about Hobby Lobby, but
yeah.
Hobby Lobby has a pricing strategy where if you don't know this here, you're welcome. Send your savings to Madison, Wisconsin. I'm gladly cash them for you. Every other week, Hobby Lobby rotates basically every other section, every other aisle, whatever you want to call it, discounting it by 50%. So if you have a piece of art, if you have a basket, if you have something in the store, for the most part, that you want, and it's not on sale today, just come back next week and it'll be 50% off. Most people know that. Like, most people understand that. If you do that in B2B, meaning you're constantly discounting and you say, sales are down, we got to run a promo. Well, you're just training your audience to only buy when there's a discount. I only buy from Hobby Lobby when it's 50% off. My wife only buys from Hobby Lobby when it's 50% off.
Yeah.
It's the same thing on that list. Is if you buy, if you build your list on the back of discounts, you're training people to expect discounts. The other thing that I don't like about it, if you ignore that for a second, is you're attracting people to the list who need a discount. A lot of business buyers don't need discounts. Like, they're not price sensitive. They're not really worried about how much they're spending because it's not their money, right? Or they have huge budgets where they're like 2% here, 3% here. None of that's really going to make that much of a difference. So if your email list is only full of people who were on there because they want a discount or they need a discount, the only thing you can do to move the needle with those folks is offer a discount, right? So it's a negative one-two punch. So we have customers that will do value add opt-ins. So you don't have to discount. You could do a gift with purchase. That's a really popular, B2B tactic. Uline does that tremendously well. So offer something free when they spend over a certain dollar amount. You could do free shipping. That's another one. We have had some success with offering free downloads still in this space. Tool finders, part finders, tips for doing your job better, mini courses, access to training, like all those things build your list based on value and on relationship and not based on discount.
Drop the mic, my friend. Man, I'll tell you, for not being prepared and just being our substitute today, that was
Thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Hey, Damon, just drop the mic, my friend.
You got the mic to throw in the room.
There we go.
So, all right, let's go back up to the top. So, all right, guys, hey, Damon, we got a comment here from our dear friend Diane.
Yeah. Diane, thanks for dropping this in here. Dad always says time is money. Give me an email that gets to the point and takes seconds to read and move on. And you are helping me tremendously. Yeah. That is the way. Exactly. I love the way you guys are doing it. You said most of them are 50 words or less, or they are 50 words or less. No fancy graphics. Just get people right to what they need. And B2B, that's what people need to do.
100%. I'm going to look super quick. I don't want to take too much time doing this, but I posted, I think last week. Oh, here it is. We had a client that had 29. It was a 29 word email. I'll drop it in chat here. Kurt, you don't have to pull it up if you don't want to, but that's an example of what those emails. Oh, did I share that correctly? Yeah. That's an example of what those emails look like, right? It's the first line was 8 words. The second line was 7. I can't share because we have an NDA with that client, but it was, 8 words on the third line, 6 words, and then 3 product links, right? That was it. It's plain text. There's no design. I think we put the logo at the top and that's pretty much it. And then what you don't see in this screenshot is it's actually signed by the CEO. So that was another thing we haven't really even gotten into on this conversation is probably half of our emails are sent from the brand. So from ABC Supply or Acme Supply or whatever the brand is, or they're sent from the CEO. So, Damon at acmesupply.com. And we've found both of those work really, really well. And it's kind of a unique way to show up in the inbox.
Nice.
God, I tell you, this awesome is just stuff. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So, all right, guys, Kyler's LinkedIn is right there for you. Please connect with Kyler on LinkedIn. Again, I'll come back to this tab. We've got his website right here. So goforwardstudios.com. And so for anybody out there that is looking for email expertise, again, just in a few recaps, short, sweet, value, sense of urgency is the big thing that I'm my takeaway. And just, and being I think one of the biggest takeaways I have is like that consciously, intentionally thinking about what your customer needs today and then just dropping it in their inbox, and just, and just like, hey, if you don't need this, no harm, no foul, we'll move on. I'll catch you next time.
Right. 100%. And again, the beauty of the segment is the customer, based on their behavior, is self-selecting how much they want to hear from us, how few they want to hear from us, and what type of content they want. I'm not guessing, and I'm not manually pulling those segments every time we send. I'm just selecting the segments that the message is the most appropriate for. And the customers that are most near their point of purchase, they're inside the buying window, I'm going to hit them a little bit harder. They're going to get more emails from me, but that should be okay because, again, their behavior suggests that they're ready to buy and we want to be front of mind and we shouldn't be bothering them. Right. Customers who aren't engaging with us are going to be further kind of down that list. We still want to stay in touch with them, but it's going to be once a week, a couple times a month, like that type of thing, rather than bombarding them with sales messages.
Mm-hmm.
Drop the mic. Yeah, absolutely drop the mic.
I'm auditioning for a full-time role, so I hope you can put in a good word.
Absolutely. So, hey, and how about give a shout out to your podcast? You've got a wonderful podcast. Where can people find you on your?
Yeah. So the show's called Darn Good Distributors, and we highlight distribution executives and marketing leaders that are doing really cool stuff in distribution. We've primarily focused on what I would call like smaller or mid-market distributors. And really the heart behind that was I worked for one. I found that space to be incredibly lonely and isolating. Anything where I was like, how do you do this? Or, when I was trying to swim back to shore from the ocean, like, it's like, how do I navigate this? And there was just no information out there. I didn't know who was doing it. I didn't know who was doing it well. And so the heart behind the show was really to say, hey, that brand's doing some really cool stuff. How can we get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain so that everyone sort of feels championed and people don't feel so alone? So we launch a new episode every Tuesday. We've got some really good ones coming up, some incredible distributors. And I think we've released maybe 8 or 9 episodes so far. And it's just been a ton of fun to be able to connect with those folks.
Very cool.
All right, Kyler, I've got 2 last questions for you. Anything else? People can find you on LinkedIn, website, anywhere else that you want to share? Anything else you have going on? Podcast?
Those are the two primary areas. I post on LinkedIn pretty much every day, and I'm on there quite a lot. So if there's any place to connect with me, always down to chat, and my DMs are open. I turned on open profile on LinkedIn. So far, that's been fine. Like I haven't had any much spam messaging. But say all that to say, even if we're not connected, you can always message me on LinkedIn, and then our website if you want to talk about how we might be able to help drive retention. You can go to goforwardstudios.com and then click the button to book a link with us.
Phenomenal. All right, 2 last questions for you, my friend Kyler. Now that you are just a booming young entrepreneur, best business advice that you've ever received or that you would love to pass along to future entrepreneurs?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Best business advice.
I started my business, my first business in my dorm, right? And so when you do that, there's kind of 2 paths. You can either sort of figure it out and just learn through failure, which is a noble path, or you can find people who are ahead of you and are smarter than you and know what they're doing. And I did that. I was like, I don't want to fail. I'm not wired that way. It's one of the reasons I don't like baseball is I was good at baseball, don't like it, couldn't handle getting out 7 times out of 10. Right. It's that's just not my vibe. So that's what I did is I found folks that were ahead of me in the game and really tried to just look at what they were doing to try to ask them questions and try to lean on them. So that would be one thing. But I would say right now, the thing that has served us well, and I would actually give the same advice back to distributors and distribution leaders and even manufacturers. I think niching down and narrowing your focus is incredibly powerful, and people are scared to do it. But it's corny saying, but niches in the riches or riches in the niches, right? It's there's a reason that's the case. Our niche is very narrow. We could easily say, oh, we're going to do B2B email marketing for any B2B company. Well, we don't do that because I want to be the best in the world at this little area. And I think that advice has served me well. I'm also not a very smart guy. So to be able to navigate all the different verticals, I can't handle that. And I wish more distributors and more manufacturers would understand that. Cut the fat, cut the things that aren't actually serving you, and be really good. Go really deep within a specific vertical, within a specific niche. So that would probably be number one advice is just really focus and narrow in your business.
Music to my ears, my friend.
Yep.
Riches are in the niches. I absolutely love that line. We talk about that all the time. So brilliant, brilliant advice. Last question for you, my friend. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you sitting down? You ready?
Yeah, I'm sitting down.
Okay.
I think I had to check. I'm running on not a lot of sleep. So
did I hear you correctly? You're not a big baseball fan, right?
Yeah.
Not a big baseball fan. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just throw you a pure hypothetical Damon and I were talking about the other day. Let's say that the Cubs are playing the dreaded. When you grew up, who's your favorite team? I know you're college guy.
I'm
right?
like 2 hours from Kansas, 2 hours from Kansas City,
yeah.
and Kansas City was dreadful when I was growing up. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, but
so
2015,
that was probably my team.
right? Wasn't it 15 they won the World Series?
15, yeah, that was a fun year. I was there leading up to the playoffs. Me and a buddy went in October of that year, or no, maybe September leading up to the playoffs, and that was crazy. That was a fun environment. But yeah, I grew up in Omaha, so near Kansas City was like, so I'd have to say the Royals, maybe the Cardinals, because it was like kind of close enough. But
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say the Royals are playing the dreaded. I think if you're a Royals fan, you hate the Yankees. So like they're playing the dreaded Yankees, right?
Yeah.
And it's the bottom of the ninth. It's tied score, and there's a guy on second base.
Yep.
Okay, tie score, playing the Yankees. Okay, you get it, right?
Yeah.
The manager turns down the bench and says, and there's 2 outs. Says, "Hey Nixon, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get up to the plate, and hit in the winning run."
Yeah.
When you grab your bat, throw on your helmet, you're walking to the plate.
Yeah.
What's your walk-up song?
Well, first of all, I think in that scenario, I'm the guy on second. I already got on base. I already did my job. Oh man, I don't know. That's a good question. I like, I grew up in like a weird time where it was kind of like between like music genres. Like some of the stuff that's like popular now was like not like a thing, and then I was also like too early or too late for like really good like rap and like rock music.
Yeah.
But I tend to lean a little bit more into that like classic, like if you're in an arena or a stadium watching a game, like the stuff they play over the sound system, like I kind of grew up with that. Like that was kind of the vibe. So I don't know, like a good like Lil Wayne song, like that would do it for me. A good Drake song, like that would do it for me. I don't know if I can come up with one off the top of my head, but if I got on second, I did my job. But if I have to walk up to the box, like I'm probably more focused on what am I trying to do? What's my goal here? Not the song, but that's probably my answer. A classic early 2000s like hip hop rap artist. So,
perfect, dude. Great answer. Thank you for playing along. So, Kyler, first off, a heartfelt thank you, my friend. And so, we're at 52 minutes already. If you've been hanging out, sitting around, joining us for this wonderful, delightful masterclass, wonderful conversation, do us a favor. It's a great time to stand up and stretch. And how about give Kyler a big standing ovation for this masterclass on email marketing for B2B and for manufacturers. Damon, parting thoughts, words of wisdom on your end?
No, just thanks for being here, because I mean the simplicity you're driving is so awesome.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You're making the world a better place, my friend. So guys, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you, Diane, for dropping comments. Thank you for you guys out there. Thank you for being here today. For those of you who didn't drop a comment, connect with Kyler, and Kyler, hang out with us for 1 second.
Yeah.
And guys, as we close out, hey, and happy birthday to Graham. Big happy birthday. Kyler's 1-year-old.
Thank you.
Do us a favor. Go out there and just be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend Kyler. And you too will make the world a better place. We'll catch you next week, our friends. And so, peace out.
All right, everyone. We'll be back again next week. Thanks.